Didn't want to waste time looking for something to put here, so here is almond milk. Hi. So, let's see here. Today it's not going to be kind of talking about an interest. It's more a little bit about me, I guess. Gonna do real talk, bros. I'm gonna talk about, because I'm old, thinking about something that I have a bit more perspective on than some other people. I don't know why I'm saying that. There's plenty of people who have the same perspective as me. But growing up in the 80s, I shouldn't put my feet on things that squeak. So, like I said, previous episode, I was born in 1980 in Ohio. And looking back on it, it feels so different. Like, I know I'm going to sound impossibly old, but I do not know what it's like, or what it's going to be like for people born post internet, post smartphone to reminisce. God, hopefully without just scrolling up a lot. I can't do that. I don't have the benefit of going through my Twitter history or my Facebook and looking at the food I ate, which would be fucking great. Because honestly, a lot of people are like, man, I'm glad I didn't have the internet as a child, but I think it would actually be kind of cool just to look back and just watch all the fucking, just pictures of me holding an Ecto Cooler or, some stupid selfie I took at Corn Dog on a Stick. May that fucking place rest in peace. It was so good, you guys. Tangent. Ding. They had a thing called cheese on a stick at Corn Dog on a Stick. And it was a block of cheese. Like when you get those Velveeta things? Or Kraft, or whoever the fuck does the things that look like sticks of butter, but it's cheddar. They would stab it with a stick, deep fry it, and it looked like a corn dog, but then you take a bite and it's full of melted cheese, and how that's not the American flag, I don't know. If it wasn't for the fact that I would eat it, I would hang it from a flagpole. Maybe if when somebody dropped one on the ground and ruined it, I could possibly use it as a flagpole. Regardless, it was delicious. Fuck, where am I? Some people write scripts for these. I should do that. So growing up in the 80s, I remember being outside a lot more. I definitely remember that, outside was a thing. It wasn't like now, if you look outside, go ahead, do it right now. I'm going to, unless you live in a big city, if you're in the suburban area, I'm going to estimate, I'll put it like this. You see this window? At no point is anyone going to walk past this window. And I live on a major side street. I'll put it like that. Should be people walking. Will not be people walking. But everyone was outside. And it was nuts. Our backyards didn't have fences. I remember I could walk 4 houses down, and there was this other kid that lived there, and I would just walk into his house, play board games, and he had those little hug things that as a kid are the best things. And they look like little plastic barrels with a foil top, and if you drink one now as an adult with a sophisticated palate, you will probably get poisoned. I don't know. I tasted one recently and it was disgusting, but as a kid I loved it. Video games were just starting to emerge, so it was a fun time hobby, and they weren't as immersive as they are now. You could play Metal Gear Solid 5, you could play Destiny, and lose yourself in the story, but games then they didn't really have any. I fucking challenge you to play a half an hour of any one Atari game. The fuck is gonna sit there and play a half an hour of Stampede? It's literally a guy moving up and down, throwing a lasso at bulls. That's all it is. So it was one of those, you played for a little bit, you're like, wow, this is cool, goodbye. And let's see, what else? I rode my bike a lot. Um, 80s were a really weird time because toy tech had gotten to this point where they finally started making a ton of outdoor toys. Like, I don't know why no one's ever really talked about this, but the 80s was an explosion of dumb outdoor toys, especially late 80s, early 90s. Like, you had a motorcycle, you, you had a Skip It, which in my family I famously took one and hammer tossed it, and it got stuck in the top of a tree. So I don't know what you're supposed to use it for, but I'm assuming it was for the hammer toss. Um, Super soakers, there were like 800 different types. I had one that had a backpack on it to hold that much water, which was actually a very stupid idea because when you're carrying a gallon of water on your back, you get tired super easily, especially if you're perpetually unathletic like I am. Uh, God, like dumb toys like the Balzac. I'm not kidding. This was a thing. The Balzac, it was a kind of cloth. It almost felt like parachute gym pants type material. And what you did was you would take like a kickball, deflated, put it inside the Balzac, I guess, and inflate it, and it would bounce around inside these slightly larger things, so you would have slightly erratic ball movement. Like if you want to play kickball or soccer, but don't want the comfort of knowing that it's going to go where you want it to ever. It's sort of it's a fun game for kids who like to run out into the street to retrieve a toy. A lot of fucking remote control cars and stuff came out in the 80s. Um, there was one, I was so jealous. This kid had one. It was a remote control car. Looked like, I think it was like a Formula One racer. And then when he hit a button, a snake popped up and sprayed water. Now, tech was a little dated, so when that happened, the car couldn't drive anymore and he had to run over to push the snake head back down, but I thought it was the coolest thing. But yeah, we had like so many like just physical things that we could go do. It was like a weird wealth of them. And another thing, when you left the house, you were fucking disconnected. You like, you know, a lot of people joke about the whole off the grid thing, but you just had to leave your house, man. And when you left the house, it was understood if someone wanted to get a hold of you, because like you had all you had were landlines. You didn't have a cell phone on you or anything like that. So you would leave the house, and no one would know. No one would be able to tell you anything. You know, you were completely free, and I remember that feeling so much. Like my childhood was very filled with anxiety as well as joy. So part of my memory is that fear that if I got too far away, what if someone needed me or what if I needed them? But as I got older, like it was kind of cool. Like I don't know. I don't think I would have liked if I had to choose between the two. I don't think I would choose to have a smartphone in my childhood. Um, let's see what else. I don't know. It was really interesting. Like a lot of the shows were fucking strange. Like I make fun of a lot of shows now. Like I think Big Bang Theory is insipid. Like it just I think it's the worst. Like you know, like I will complain about a lot of television, but like my time period, late 80s, early 90s, man, we had some fucking weird shows. Like Small Wonder. Small Wonder is a television show. It's a family comedy. Uh, you know, nuclear family. Dad, wife, son, daughter. But here's the catch. First episode, the daughter dies in a car accident because family comedy. And the dad decides to build a robot replica of the dead daughter. And everyone's okay with this And then wacky antics ensue as the robot that looks like the dead girl has to remain a secret. Everyone has to think that she's a real girl. Like, she'll be vacuuming and this is live action, by the way. This wasn't a cartoon, but she'll be vacuuming the living room. I think the girl was like 8, and she'd go over to the couch and like pick up the entire couch and vacuum underneath it. Just dumb shit like that. But in concept, it was horrifying. Like, you had Alf. I don't think I have to explain Alf to you, but in a nutshell, family harbors a weird extraterrestrial that just happens to eat cats. I really want to pray that that quirk wasn't the result of like some overweight fat man saying like it would be really funny if this guy ate pussy, and then he died. It's tragic. We had Perfect Strangers, which was a sitcom that's its primary quirk was that one of the, it's a traditional roommate sitcom, but one of them is foreign. And then there was Night Court. Night Court, generally loved by the people who saw it, but I have a weird memory with it because it was a court, it was nighttime, and it was a comedy. There was an episode in which a homeless man was being tried for something, or I don't remember what it was, but there was an old guy who thought he was a superhero, and everyone kept telling him he wasn't a superhero, and superheroes weren't real, and towards the end of the episode, they find out that he's on the roof of the courthouse because they had like one set, and he wants to jump, and somebody, I think it was the judge, went out to talk to him, and he's like, hey, you're a good person and you don't need to do this and things like that. And the guy said, thank you, and then flew away, or was craned off camera. And then the episode like freeze framed and credits rolled, and I remember being a little kid, I'm like, wait, what the are superheroes real? What? Like, I was very young, I was very impressionable and very stupid. So, yeah. Another thing too, and this is going to be the last thing. I know this one's going a little. That's not going that long, but tangent. God damn it, focus. A lot of talk gets put into like fast food places about how food is unhealthy and stuff like that. And we really need to clean up the menu. But holy fuck, going back to the corn dog on the stick thing, you should have seen the stuff that we ate. Like, and we were okay with it. Like, we didn't have people coming down on us for eating junk food or giving kids junk food. Like, I remember Burger King had this sandwich called the Chicken Little. And I'll be damned if that wasn't the best thing ever. It was essentially just a tiny, it was like a slider, but for chicken. It had I think 2 pickles and a little bit of mayonnaise on it. They're about like yay big. And at maybe 14 years of age, there was a lot of restaurants had these contests. Taco Bell had them too, where it was basically you could go in there and see how many of a particular food you could eat, and then you would get your name on a piece of paper and with the number of how many, and it would get posted up on the wall. And it was essentially to just sucker dumb people into getting obese and eating as many as possible. But at 14, I think I ate 34 of these fucking sandwiches in a sitting. And God, it was so great. So much just garbage. I mean, I'm not going to say that there isn't garbage now. Go to Wendy's and get a triple Baconator and just marvel at the consistency of poo that comes out of you an hour later. I would also like to remind people that, yes, I am married. But the biggest thing to tie this all up between living in the 80s and now, it's just, honestly, I'm going to sound like an old man, but it's the fucking smartphones. You guys don't realize how much they change shit. The lack of knowledge we had, I think almost made us better. like, not having the ability to look up stuff gave us shit to talk about. Like, you know how, like, if you're, let's say you go up to, like, IHOP with, like, two other people, and you're talking and you don't know, like, you're like, do you know what something is? And somebody looks it up on their phone. Or, I can't think of an example question. But somebody, like, looks up something on their phone, and they immediately know. But back in the day, like, you would sit down with your friends and stuff like that and talk, and if you didn't know something, you would talk about that goddamn topic for, like, a half an hour. It was fucking wonderful. Like, you would divulge shared information, or if you didn't have it, you would jokingly make up stuff, or sometimes you would just outright lie, and who cared? But now, because all the information is, like, right there, like, people get really pissed at you if you don't know certain tidbits or facts, and it's like, I don't know, we've become obsessed with the trivial. I mean, I'm obsessed with the trivial, I'm trying not to be a hypocrite, but I will fully admit that this, people really didn't care if you didn't know something right off the bat in the 80s. People were a lot cooler then. I'm not saying the world was perfect. There were disgusting short shorts, and cocaine was everywhere. I was a child. I didn't have any cocaine myself, but the effects were there, as were leather pants and ugh. Anyway, so yeah, that's my completely nonsensical rant about what it was like to live in the 80s, but somebody wanted me to talk about that one, and ta-da. I gotta find a way to close these. I don't know. I think I need to actually watch a few vlogs just to get an idea of how to close one of these. Anyway, say la vie. Thank you.